All right, gents, if you are tired, if you feel inflamed, if you're stressed, and you're carrying a little extra weight, and maybe you feel like your body just doesn't recover like it used to, this episode is definitely for you, because we're not just talking about fitness on today's show. We are talking about how men can get their life back. And that's why I'm really excited today to bring on Dr. Adam Boender. This one is packed with so much gold. In fact, we really pull back the curtain on a lot of these peptides, what they do, how beneficial they are, how we can go about using them. I mean, that's why we went for almost an hour and a half today. But I got to tell you, listen to the whole thing. Go to thedadedge.com/1434 for this show. There's a lot of show notes and a lot of resources in here. There's even a cheat sheet in here that Dr. Adam has we put in here on his behalf, just so you can have all the information at your fingertips. So again, thedadedge.com/1434 for this show. Dr. Adam in the house. Let's do it. Dr. Adam, what's going on, man? Welcome to Dad Edge, my friend.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here, man.
I'm excited to have you here. Let's give the audience a little bit of background on how you and I, fortunately, and I would also say quite unfortunately, kind of met. Fortunate for me, and also unfortunate, but also, but like I got hurt, and you were kind enough to help me. So, and which, by the way, I'm forever grateful for you and what you did for me. So, let's introduce you. So your background is what?
So my background is chiropractic. Ever since third grade, I wanted to be a doctor. I actually wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon. The Lord had different plans for me, and I'm going to chiropractic school, practiced for 10 years, had an integrated medical practice, ran everything from PT to chiro, medical, and over the years, started doing medical trainings, and all kinds of different, alternative therapies, from ozone, cryo, hyperbarics, peptides, stem cells, exosomes. And, honestly, my biggest, I guess, mission and vision was to help people not suffer, quite honestly, especially those that, had been seeking care and had always been told, well, you're just gonna have to live with it, or there's no solution. And that's typically the patients and the clients that I would see. So, and then with that, the Lord led me directly to where I'm at today in the world of peptides. And so, after practicing for 10 years, I grew my practice to about 450 patients a week. So I was very busy. It was a blessing. I mean, we were helping people and growing. And our total practice combined, my half of the practice was about 450 patients a week. With my partner at the time, he was seeing about 250. So, we had a buzzing practice, and we were helping a lot of people, and, just different direction, and which was scary, transitioning out of that. But about 2 years ago, I'd been in dabbling in peptides for quite a while. But there came an opportunity to really build a company, grow a company, and then begin to help clinicians learn how to implement peptides the right way, safe and effective, guiding other patients and clients on how to do it and getting great results. So, it's been a journey, but it's been a very, very fulfilling one. And then every once in a while, I kind of step back and help people here and there. I don't do that much anymore. I don't do a lot of one-on-one, but every once in a while I will. And I'm glad that we got to do that.
So I'm so curious, man. So how does somebody go from 450, patients per week, highly successful practice, and you're like, you know what, I also want to add this into my practice. I want to help people with this. What was the catalyst for that?
I think there's a lot of times in practice and with a lot of practitioners that I see, there's life-changing moments that open up new doors to be able to implement new modalities, new therapies. And I honestly think, as a practitioner, when I was in practice, I was always looking for, in a sense, the next thing. Well, what is it that's natural that can bring healing and restoration to somebody? And It started with stem cells and exosomes, and then it kind of ventured into peptides, but it really came about because I had a family member that was chronically ill with chronic Lyme disease and bedridden, seizures daily, could not live life. And so when you go through and you're trying to seek answers with the tools that you have, realizing that the tools that you do have aren't going to work. And then when you start to look at even conventional medicine and the tools that they have, which with specifically whether it's, mold, Lyme, a lot of these chronic conditions, they throw off as, it's in your head, it's not real. And quite honestly, there's no solution. In fact, they will tell you that, like, well, there's nothing we can do for you. And so then you start going on a journey. And that's what I did. I started talking to other providers and practitioners, and honestly, I never saw myself leaving practice. I mean, I'd seen the patient that I was, I was helping people. But when you go through such, truly my life, my family's life was completely flipped upside down. I mean, we spent our life savings, we drained our life savings, and this is all in seeking a solution, and I'm the type of person that's kind of all in, it's like, I'm going to figure this out. And I think sometimes when you figure something out that is so profound that it shifts your thinking, like to me, I'm like, I need to do something different. And I did. And I felt like sitting in a practice, seeing one patient at a time, week in and week out, was not going to change anything. And so I went with this mentality of I need to go from one to one to one to many. And so then how could I start to take the things that I've learned, the modalities, the therapies that I know can transform the lives of others, and start bringing that to other practitioners that I knew then that they could then go help many. And so that's kind of where my journey went with that. So, and it's been very fulfilling.
Awesome, man. And I got to tell you, so for those of you guys in the audience that may or may not know this, so Dr. Adam and I got connected through Fraser Bailey, who's been on the podcast a few times.
Good man.
And good guy, and wonderful human being, as well as his knowledge of health and fitness is unbelievable. But, he connected us when I got hurt back in May of last year and ruptured my patellar tendon. And to be honest, that was a rough one. And I've dabbled in peptides in the past, like BPC-157 and that kind of thing. Some tesamorelin and epimorelin. But, I wasn't that familiar with recovery peptides. And one thing that I needed tremendously in that time was recovery and healing. Like literally everything I did, as soon as I got hurt, I was like, I'm not drinking alcohol, which I wasn't drinking alcohol at the time. I was like, I'm not even going to drink coffee. I'm not going to drink caffeine. Everything I put in my mouth is going to be a food that does not cause inflammation. It's going to be anti-inflammatory. It's going to be good for me. Everything is going to be high octane nutrition. And then I got peptides on board with your help. And one of the things that was very pleasantly surprising to me was I was able to get off crutches 6 weeks early, which was huge. Right. I mean, my oldest son had just graduated. I was sitting there thinking, I was like, how am I even going to go to his graduation? Like I'm hobbling around. Like I can't even I can't stand where it's comfortable in the stadium we're in. It's like, I can't prop my foot on something.
Yeah.
And, it was a really dark time, man. Cause I was just like, how do I get myself back up to moving again? I was able to get off crutches 6 weeks early. I was able to get out of my brace that it was from my top of my quad all the way down to my ankle about 4 weeks early. Mm-hmm. And that would not have happened, I don't think, without you and your help. And you really helped me with getting the right peptides on board, which I think it was BPC-157 and TB-500. And I believe it was, the dosage that you had me on was first very specific purpose, which was to get me healing fast.
Yeah.
But I did it under, obviously your supervision and your help, but tremendous turnaround, huge benefits. And what I'd love to do with you, though, is I'd like to do something that I've never been able to do on the show, which is take a handful of peptides and just unpack them and just for the audience to understand what they are. And I'd really love to focus on the peptides that you think are most beneficial for men, husbands, fathers, dads, right? Where we're spread so thin, we've got a lot of stress in our lives. There's a lot of things we're trying to accomplish, but like, I'd love to do that with you if you're cool with that.
Dude, I would love it. I think,
yeah. So,
I mean, and just for reference, you to talk a little about me. I mean, I've got 4 kiddos, so they range from 9 to 15. So I get it. I mean, I still remember that first phone call, and I don't want to digress here, but to me, the biggest thing in the transformation of my own journey was like I said, it's helping people to get their lives back. And anybody that I do work with, when I do, it's like, what is it? And it wasn't the patella issue. I mean, the patella issue was what connected us and brought us together. But the ultimate reason we were talking is, I remember you saying, we're going into summer. I had this whole plan with my son. I had this journey thought out. And then when, as men, as fathers, like, I mean, those are precious times that we foresee. And when we feel like that's going to be ripped from us and taken from us, like, we will do anything to get there. And I just remember that conversation, and I'm like, all right, let's go. And I think I might have said, you're going to get there faster than you think. But it's always like, but let's just wait and see, So yeah, man, no, I would love to do that. Let's make it happen. Let's unpack some stuff.
Yeah, let's do it, man. So, I would love for you to actually be the guide into this like conversational journey, because like I have my favorite, couple, I only know enough to be dangerous, to be quite honest, when it comes to these peptides. Like, I'm like, okay, I think that one does this thing, that does that, this helps with that, but I don't know a whole lot. So like, let's start with, what do you think should be at least the 1, 2, or 3 peptides that just men our age should be like, hey, you should really take a serious look at these, and here's why.
Yeah. I think that there's, now my brain goes into like this whirlwind of many, many things. Cause you say you know just enough to be dangerous. And I sometimes say, I think I know too much to be very dangerous. And because when I'm always asked like, what's your favorite peptide? What is the best one? And there are so many. And I think before we unpack it, I just want people to understand, what are peptides in of themselves? I mean, ultimately they're cellular communicators. You on the data talk about even just communication between a husband and a wife, and miscommunication really can create chaos. I mean, peptides, as the communicators of your cells, they are the signaler, and so when they're static in between, I always say that it's not that we have a deficiency in peptides, it's that we have an inefficiency of the communication that those peptides bring. And so that's why also I think that they are so powerful, is that when we can do microdosing and small amounts over a period of time, like anything we do, whether it's, counseling, communication, we get a little bit better every single bit. And that's what peptides do, small amounts, and we dose them in typically micrograms, small amounts. And so, peptides are just amino acids. They're not the same amino acids that you take in your supplement drink. When you take that, they're actually therapeutic amino acids that are chained together to create a specific sequence, which then creates that language or that signal to the cell and hit a specific receptor and have a specific response. So again, that's why I love peptides, because they are so specific and they're extremely safe. You're really not going to have a toxic load of peptides, because they work very, very fast. And then they're released, they're broken down, and the body gets the signal. So, but to get going, I'm not going to start probably with something like BPC. We're going to get there, but everybody goes to BPC, and it probably is the most widely used peptide in the world, quite honestly. But I'm going to actually go to one called Epitalon. And most people are like, what is this one?
Yeah, what is that one? I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, so Epitalon or Epitalon, it can be spelled both ways with the TH or just the T. It is actually, I call it the reset peptide. And I think so much, like even as men, as fathers, as husbands, like we want something to fix something quick. And we want to address just that issue, that single issue. So we talk about BPC for like joint pain. Well, I just want to get rid of my joint pain. Or you talk about inflammation. I just want to reduce inflammation. What I want to do is help guys that are maybe in their 30s, 40s, or 50s who have had chronic issues, sleep problems, inability to focus, so all of these kind of over-encompassing things that we all deal with, stress, anxiety, muscle aches, inflammation, and kind of hit everything at once. I call it the reset peptide. It was actually discovered by Dr. Kavinson. So he was a Russian scientist, kind of the godfather of peptides. He has since passed, but Epitalon I can say it's in sense a longevity peptide, but it works on the pineal gland, so in the brain, and it will actually help to reset circadian rhythms, so sleep cycles. It also then helps, because of that, can obviously help you with better recovery. It's, in a sense, a longevity peptide. It helps with immune system function. So it's like this all-encompassing peptide that you do 10 milligrams for 10 days straight, and you only do it once or twice a year. And in that reset, some people are like, well, I didn't feel anything on the first time, and I'm like, well, we aren't expected to always feel something immediately. But I've had people that within, like somebody that wears their Whoop watch, I've had people within 3 days say that their deep rest sleep went from a 36 to like a 78. And that's your deep restful sleep. And it has some anti-cancer effects and benefits through research. So again, research shows all of these things. But to me, it's a reset. And so that's why I love Epitalon. And it's and if you don't notice it the first time, that's why I always say, don't do too much of a good thing. So don't be like, I didn't feel it, I'm going to do it again real fast. So, but Epitalon's a really, really good one. I'll go to BPC next anyway, because it's kind of a staple. I call it the multivitamin of peptides. It's one that you really don't need to cycle on and off with. It's one that I've been on for 4 years straight. And it really is, inflammation, probably the number one cause of disease. And that inflammation is what creates static between cellular communication. But BPC works in a multitude of ways. It works to reduce inflammation within joint tissues. It helps to increase kind of that vascularity within the joints, which is, our joints are typically internally very avascular, which is why they don't heal well. But that inflammation creates that pain, discomfort. And if you're looking to get in the gym, if you are in the gym, recovery is important. So BPC helps with that recovery, helps with the joint pain, helps with that vascularity. But contrary to what most people think about BPC-157, they're like, well, it can accelerate cancer cells or proliferation. Actually, what research shows, it actually can halt it. It works on like almost two different highways, a highway that creates that healing and restoration, and a highway of, hey, stop creating damage and let's correct this properly. And then a key benefit of BPC-157 stands for body protection compound. It's actually derived from your gut lining. And so it helps with gut health. So anybody that has, if you've heard of like leaky gut, or, you can go all the way to things like ulcerative colitis. Now, I'm not making claims here. I'm just saying that these are the type of people that would utilize that type of peptide. But so gut health, joint health, anti-inflammatory, there's even benefits of neuroprotection with BPC-157. So again, creating new pathways of vascularity to help heal and accelerate that restoration faster. Next one, how many do I get to do?
Well, do you mind if I just want to ask a question about BPC?
Yeah.
So I've kind of heard that, it's the multivitamin. It's something that's naturally occurring that we make in our gut.
Mm-hmm.
From what I understand, like very hard to like what we would call OD on it.
Oh yeah.
Like you could take quite a bit of it, but the thing, how does it actually work in the joints? Because that's what you had me on, as far as like healing my knee.
Yeah.
What I noticed is like, I even still take it now. I'm still pretty much recovering. Like I'm not 100% yet. It's going to take me about a year to be 100%. But one thing I've noticed is I've cycled on and off BPC. Perhaps I should have stayed on it for the entire time, but like I've cycled on and off it. But the times I've been off of it, I have noticed my recovery time is significantly lower. Yeah. I've also noticed pain in the joints comes back.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's the mechanism of action that actually keeps that inflammation down? So I'm think of things like, Tylenol, and I'm thinking of things like Motrin, right, that reduce inflammation.
Yeah.
But this is quite frankly much different.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
much different. One thing that I just for clarity, I mean, when we talk about therapeutic peptides like BPC-157, Epitalon, TB-500, all these things, number one, your body already produces all of these. Again, so when I said it's not about a deficiency, it's a lack of efficiency. So your body already produces it. We're just giving that extra boost. Now, you talk about aspirin, Advil, Motrin. I mean, those are, in a sense, like COX inhibitors. They're going to create a block to reduce something, whether that's reducing inflammation or pain, whatever that mechanism is. Whereas when BPC comes in, because it's very specific on the receptors, it's going to help, in a sense, with almost like neovascularization, increasing endothelial nitric oxide. That's what's inside of those blood vessels. And so with that, it creates this vasodilation. Think about most pain within a joint is due to an inflammatory response because your body is trying to get inflammation there, to get nutrients there to allow that healing to occur or to build new blood vessels where the damage has occurred. Think about getting cut on, with your patellar tendon, right? You get cut on, they go back and they put it in. Well, everywhere they cut, I mean, think of those vessels that have been broken and then scar tissue is trying to build in there, which that scar tissue is avascular. No blood supply is getting there. But if we could increase where those blood vessels are going to get to the areas that are damaged, that's what BPC-157 will do. It elicits a response to say, okay, your body's putting out a signal, this SOS signal, like we need healing here. We're trying to push as much blood and nutrients here, but it's doing it in a sense of chaos. It's not doing it in a controlled environment. BPC comes in and controls the environment and starts to get those blood vessels there, which then allows nutrients, allows oxygen to get there, and allows that healing to occur at a faster rate. But now because it's opened up those blood vessels and got new ones, what it also does is it pulls out that excess inflammation or that swelling or those the nutrients that are sitting there that kind of are used and done or senescence or dead cells, and it's going to start to pull away from that. And that's how it reduces that swelling and the inflammation, which then reduces pain. So it's kind of a looped mechanism that when one thing happens, it's going to address those other issues from pain and chronic inflammation. And that's most joint pain is chronic inflammation. It's not healing fast enough. Inflammation is important. It's what actually allows healing to occur. It's the chronicity of that creates the issue down the road.
So that it being so chronic is what you're right,
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
All right, fellas, quick break. And this is perfectly timed because we are talking about recovery. We're talking about healing and, quite frankly, doing the unsexy basics that actually move the needle. So when I ruptured my patellar tendon, I got obsessive about two things. Number one, what am I putting in my body and how fast I could recover without cutting corners? And I will tell you straight up, First Form was a huge part of my daily routine, but let me get really specific about what I used. Every single day, I used Formula One with Ignition right after rehab or training because I wanted a clean protein plus the carbs to drive recovery when my body needed it most. I also took Microfactor because it is basically my nutritional insurance policy. It packs in the vitamins, the minerals, the probiotics, the fruits, the veggies, the antioxidants, so I am not guessing if I am missing anything. And man, I got obsessed with collagen. Collagen became a non-negotiable. When you're rehabbing tendons and joints, I am not going to leave that to chance, and collagen is great for that. And then finally, the greens every single day because I do not care how dialed in you think you are. Getting consistent micronutrients and gut support matters, especially when your stress is high and you're trying to recover. So if you're a guy who wants more energy, better recovery, or maybe you just want to feel strong in your body again, check out all the links that I have in today's show. If you guys go to thedadedge.com/1434 for this show, I will have all the links for all four of those products in there just to make it easier for you. Let's recover together. Let's keep well together. Let's keep healthy together. Back to my show with Adam.
Yeah.
And so I hear this in combination all the time with TB-500.
Yeah.
And so one question is, why is that combination so popular? Like, do they work synergistically, like hand in hand? Or is it just like a great, adjunct to something that's already working so well?
Yeah, I mean, they both individually have their own benefits. TB-500, thymosin beta 4, is that other part of it. You know, in combination, they call it the Wolverine stack, because they're saying you accelerate healing so fast. Well, TB-500, which is produced from the thymus gland, which as we age, that begins to deteriorate, go away, so you don't have that same mechanism release. But TB-500 naturally helps to increase stem cell production. And so it'll target those areas that are damaged, naturally produce more stem cells, or basically tell your body, hey, we need more stem cells, because as we age, we have something called cellular exhaustion. So that cellular exhaustion means that our cells are not working as efficiently as they used to. So it's going to help to build new cells, replenish the dead, dying ones, because your body's constantly replenishing itself, new cells constantly, new ones come, old ones go. But it also helps with things like elastin. So creating that ligament, tendon elasticity, muscle tissue elasticity. So even though it doesn't necessarily work on, let's say, the vascular side, like BPC-157, it can actually help on the cellular side more so to build better tissue as it's being repaired. And so that's kind of the side of TB-500 or thymosin beta 4.
Is that another one a lot like BPC where, I mean, do you can you take that one like you can take BPC or no?
Yeah, you can. It's most dosing is a little bit different. Usually you take a higher, if you're doing it by itself, you'll do it like 3 days a week at a higher dose, maybe like 1.5 milligrams. But if you're getting it in combination, like kind of that Wolverine stack of BPC, TB all in one vial, you're doing a lower dose. So, I mean, my thought is, and what a lot of people utilize, is because it's a smaller dose, you can do it more often on a daily basis, which I like because it's almost like it's an extra push more consistently as opposed to a hit with that peptide like every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've talked about, and how did you pronounce that first one again?
Epitalon.
Epitalon.
Yeah.
So Epitalon, BPC-157, TB-500.
Yeah.
What else for us guys?
Yeah. I would actually go to, I know most guys don't bald or ever go bald. And I say that very jokingly. I'm obviously completely bald, which happened to me when I was in high school. So, that's a whole other story. I am going to mention a peptide called copper, GHKCU. And I'd mentioned this to you as well. It helps with collagen production, formation, and actually helps to hair, skin, nails. So I say hair, skin, and nails. A lot of women use it. They use it topically, but on the injection side, so if you're starting to thin, okay, and you're starting to lose your hair, you know, copper is a great peptide to utilize on a regular basis because it's going to help to really create more, in a sense, elasticity within the scalp. I would say, trust me, people listen when they hear me talk about copper for hair. They're like, why would we listen to a guy that's completely bald talking about hair growth? And this is not like your Chia Pet, grow hair fast type of peptide. It works over time, but it's not about replacing or replenishing. It's about strengthening what you have, kind of like putting that fertilizer down, making sure now we're getting the nutrients that kind of have been depleted for a little bit. But on the other benefit, copper, it actually activates over like 4,000 different enzymes within the body. So it has some great longevity effects as well. So great for heart health, brain health, vascularity. So there's an additional benefit to that. But it's a great combination to add in for if you do have a joint injury, you know, like a patella tendon issue or something like that, because it helps with laying down that collagen, that fibrous tissue to create strength and tensile strength down the road too. So that's another great one.
That's awesome. So how often can you take that one? And do you have to cycle that, or?
I typically do. I usually have people, if they're doing like the injectable form, typically 2 milligrams, do it for like 90 days, take a break for a month or two. You can cycle it again. There are topical forms that you can use. So people actually will put it directly on their scalp, their face. And that works very well as well. I mean, because it'll absorb through the skin if the activation method or the basically transference medium is good. So just making sure that's something that can transfer the skin. You typically not water-based. But yeah, copper, it's a great peptide. Works really well.
Is for all these peptides, right? I know that some are oral, some you can their skin, some are injectable. In your opinion, are just if they're injected, are they going to be more bioavailable? Are they better for us?
Yeah, I think whether it's a vitamin, whether it's a peptide, anything that you can inject, you're going to have the highest bioavailability. You're going to absorb most of it. When it comes to other forms, I mean, there are capsules. You're not going to get the same amount of absorption because it also depends on, is the absorption like sublingual by the tongue or intranasal through the mucosal cavities? Swallowing a peptide, you have to realize that it's not just, the peptide getting there. It's, the acid in your stomach. Can it actually survive the acid in your stomach? Could it get to the gut? So, supplements, peptides, the mode of absorption really depends on where it's getting absorbed and what's the carrier mechanism of that. Even if you have a BPC-157 capsule, which is good for the gut, and a lot of people will take capsules for that. If the capsule is bad, you're not going to absorb it much. So does it have a buffer in there? I can get down to the science of it, but that's a whole other thing. But yeah, it's always going to be, we're working on, which I'm really excited about, it's actually a spray. It's a shelf stable, non-injectable spray that's sublingual or intranasal. And you don't have to refrigerate it because that you typically do when you reconstitute peptides that are injectable. They have to stay in the fridge. They're extremely fragile. They can break down very, very easily. And so to develop and have a patent on products that are nano encapsulated that can be shelf stable and still have a great absorption rate through the oral, mucosal cavities, nasal is game changing. So I'm stoked for that.
That is really cool. I did not know. I mean, I always assume that, obviously if the injectables, I mean, that's going to be more bioavailable.
Yeah.
So, so copper.
Yeah.
And then, what about all these other ones that are can we run through, and I don't want to take over, but I know that this is a really hot topic. It's like these, and I'm going to butcher it because I don't know nearly as much about this stuff as you do, but it's like these GL1, there's I think it's the semaglutide that does 1, and then there's trizipatide that hits 2, and then there's, retatrutide that hits all 3. Yeah. So can you, I don't know much about these, but can you explain what that means when we talk about these receptors and what these 3 things do?
Yeah. So they're agonists, or what they are. So you've got, and touching on named products, really in the industry right now is kind of a hot topic, meaning that there's pharmaceutical companies that don't want you to mention their names, their patents, and all these things. So I'll stick with and just give reference, like a GLP-1, like semaglutide. Okay. That's a single receptor agonist. Your body actually produces GLP-1 every time you eat. It actually releases it naturally. And it's kind of that stop mechanism of we don't want to eat more. It's kind of like ghrelin and other things that are released, but that's kind of the mechanism for that. So that was kind of the first to market. And yeah, there's been a lot of weight loss being utilized for that, and then you have your double, which is a GLP and a GIP, gastric emptying peptide, which was known, tirzepatide is that main one. So that's a GLP-2 is what I call that. And so there's the mechanism of slowing down the gastric, emptying. So it makes you feel full. And that the GLP, like with semaglutide, what it does in a sense is it kind of makes you feel nauseous, so you don't want to eat, and you can very easily overdose. So you really want to make sure that you're being guided down that journey, and you start very, very low and you build up over time. And also just helping people understand that most of the studies that have been done on these are studies that are 52 weeks, 72 weeks, but everybody's looking to have this result and this weight loss within a month or two. And that, quite honestly, is not healthy. There should be a slow progressive change. Start slow, start low and go slow. And to me, it's about changing your habits over time. It really is. That's, the goal is I'm going to choose better foods. not just eat less, but still eat really bad, which is what a lot of people do. And what most people don't realize is that these GLPs weren't first studied for like diabetes or weight loss. They were actually studied for neurological function, insulin regulation. Because if you actually have overproduction of insulin, which is actually the very first peptide that was ever developed and recorded and understood. So there's a little tidbit for you, is insulin's actually a peptide. So when you have too much production of insulin, it creates aging. It kills blood vessels and nerve tissue. And so it was actually studied for the brain, but there's less money in the brain than there is in, well, weight loss. And I like to call it fat loss. That's the goal. And then the newest one on the market is retatrutide. It's a triple agonist. So GLP, GIP, and then it's glucagon is the third. And what that's doing is actually revs up your metabolism, and it helps with muscle preservation. It doesn't have as strong as a hit on the appetite suppression. In fact, it really will, and I can do this and say this from experience. I'm on the GLP-3, which is what we call retatrutide. I've been on it for about, where am I at now? Maybe 20 weeks or longer. I do a very low dose, and it's just to maintain my metabolism. I'm 44. I'm at 9% body fat. I'm 178 pounds, and I still eat well, but I don't have to be as concerned all the time. I'm not craving foods. I will tell you, I love Oreo cookies, man. I love chocolate chip cookies. I love sweets, and I like to have them every once in a while. Moderation is key, but anybody that's going on any GLP, this is really what I want you to hear. You must increase your protein intake. Most men should be at about 120 to 150 grams of protein if they're on anything like that. Women are at about 100 to 120 grams of protein is what they should be on. You must increase your electrolyte intake. And increase your water intake. They will dehydrate you, and because it's going to be pulling everything out. And I would say don't expect any changes if it's being done right for about 6 to 8 weeks. Even though we want it quick, I would wait 6 to 8 weeks to start to see the changes coming. And you must move. The reason why you want that protein is because, yes, in a sense, you've heard of people talk about like Ozempic face or Ozempic bud and all that. If you were to put two people side by side, one with the Ozempic face and one that's anorexic, guess what? They look identical. You know why? It's because people are starving themselves. That's why they're losing weight so fast. So we've got to cut out this weight loss picture, and we need to say we need fat loss. We don't need weight loss. We need fat loss. And so when I have clinics that I train, the number one way to monitor these people is body composition scales, because we know that we can lose fat and gain muscle and our scale doesn't change. So people get disappointed. The scale's not changing. The scale's not, oh wait, but your body fat percentage went down 3 and your muscle mass index went up 4 pounds. We're on the right track. You just got to tip that scale further down the road. So that's kind of the GLP story. And, and then those are just a few. There's liraglutide. There's cagrilintide, which is one that just suppresses appetite, but doesn't affect the GLPs. So if people just have hunger noise and they're just hungry all the time, there are peptides that can actually just suppress the appetite to help with that, because food addiction is a real thing. And then you have there's a whole bunch of them. There's one that's being researched right now called bioglutide. It's a quad effector. So you talk about your GLP, GIP, your glucagon, and then you get into IGF-1L3, which actually is a muscle builder, not muscle preserver, but you're actually able to start to build muscle on that. So be on the lookout for that one. It's coming down the road too.
I have to ask your opinion on something.
Okay.
And I'm actually looking for it here because, here it is. Hang on.
And before you ask my opinion, I am going to say this: seek guidance. If you are going on any of these, you have to have a clinician, somebody that understands how these work, the mechanisms of how they work, guiding you through this. Don't just go buy it and just start taking it and think, please don't do that. You can hurt yourself. Yeah.
I agree. I think you should always have a medical professional help you out with stuff like this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play a clip here, Adam.
Okay.
I know that this is off the cuff, but this is Oprah talking
on
the View. And I have my degree in sports med, and I got a minor in nutrition.
Yeah.
And my first thought when I heard this, I was like, are you kidding me? Are we just making excuses for everybody now? But maybe I'm totally wrong and I'm not up to date on the research. So can I play this for you?
Yeah, please.
All right. So hey, sit tight here.
All these years, I thought I was overeating. I was standing there with all the food noise, what I ate, what I should eat, how many calories was that, how long was it going to take. I thought that was because of me and my fault. Yeah. Now I understand that if you carry the obesity gene, if that is what you have, that is what makes you overeat. You don't overeat and become obese. Obesity causes you to overeat. Obesity.
Is that true? Obesity causes you to okay, like this is the part where you can be like, Larry, yes, you're an idiot. You're not up to speed on the latest research.
Larry, I'm going to say this. I think that too many people in this world try to find a freaking excuse to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's, to me, it's too easy to blame. Well, I'll say you can blame people, but now we've gotten to a point. I might go on a soapbox here. We live in a society. We live in honestly a medical system where it's just accepted and we're told, like, you know what, Larry, your dad had cancer. Guess what? You're going to have cancer. Not only that, but like, just be ready. Your dad had a heart attack. You're going to have a heart attack. Our medical model has developed into a fear-mongering draconian system that basically says you're going to have something because so-and-so. I do not believe that God created a bad gene in our body. What I do believe, and I know that science actually shows, is that there is a thing called epigenetics. You can actually look up Dr. Bruce Lipton, who studies epigenetics. 2 to 5% of all disease, 2 to 5% is genetic. That means 98 to 95% of all the diseases that are out there, we have self-induced. We have created ourselves because of our choices. And for somebody to sit there and say, well, I've got the obesity gene. Like, you know what? I've got the freaking awesome bicep gene. Look, this is why I got these things, right? No, it's not. I had to work to get this, just like you need to work to not eat as much food.
Dang, why do I not have
you know, right?
Awesome.
Yeah, I could say I've got the awesome non-hair gene too, all this hair shaming that I've had to deal with over the last few weeks. But no, but here's the thing. It is the choices that we make that determine the outcome that we have. I could sit here and I'm like, next thing you know, Oprah's going to be on there, or it could be somebody else. You know what? I realized that sitting on the couch, it wasn't my choice. I have the lazy gene. Man, I need something to fix that. What? You know what? Let's figure this out.
There's a peptide for that.
There's a peptide for that. Actually, that is my saying. There is a peptide for that. And the thing is, man, like, we all have genes that have triggers, on and off switches. We do. Have you ever heard somebody say, you know what? I got a lot of that bad cholesterol. I got that bad cholesterol, right?
I've said that.
Yep. Oh, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Well, what if we transitioned our thinking a little bit to say that, you know what, there's actually no bad cholesterol because there isn't bad cholesterol. If your cholesterol is out of balance, if there's too high of your LDL, too little of your HDL, that doesn't mean one's good or bad. That just means you have too much of even a good thing. Because you know what LDL does? LDL, which they label as bad cholesterol, actually cleans out the inner linings of your arteries to get rid of the junk so that you won't have a heart attack. Wait a second. I was told that it was bad. No, it's not. It's the ratio that isn't right. There's nothing bad. It's all like, now we can it's like women have mastectomies because they're just told that they have a gene that could be cancerous. That doesn't mean they have cancer. That doesn't mean that it's going to happen. But you know what? If you go eat McDonald's every single day and you lay on the couch and you do nothing and you do all the same things that this person over here that got cancer, you know what? You're probably going to turn those triggers on. Every gene is honestly like a loaded gun. If you pull the trigger, it's going to happen. But you know what? You don't have to pull the trigger. What if we did the things like we actually got out and walked? What if we actually got in the sun? What if we You don't have to go to the gym. Just go move. Go outside. Enjoy life. Decrease your stress. Like, there are simple solutions. And I will tell you right now, and I'll be the first to tell you, peptides are not a magic bullet. They are not there to transform. They are a tool in a tool belt that's going to help you get a result. And maybe, yes, it could get you there faster, but it's not the only thing. You could have taken every peptide that I recommended for you, and if you didn't do the rehab that I watched you do, literally pushing through it because you knew what your end result was going to be, dude, I mean, half the time probably crying through that rehab, going beyond what your therapist was asking you to do because you had a vision and a goal of what you wanted. No peptide's going to do that for you. That's here, you know? So, man, if you would have taken all those peptides and didn't do the rehab, yeah, you probably still would have, it would have been months before you got better. But it's because you put them together. So, yeah, I'm sorry, that over clip, I'm like, no, it's not an obesity gene. It's somebody that has a problem taking a fork to the mouth, quite honestly. There is a thing. You understand nutrition, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you understand nutrition. Calories, calories are basically, it's energy. That's what calories are. You have fat calories, you have protein calories, you have carbohydrate calories. They're all energy, right? And you also have consumption. I mean, if you put more in than you are taking out, what happens? There's a reserve. It's left over. And that reserve gets stored, okay? And in your body, when that reserve gets stored and it can't be burnt up because it's not in the bloodstream, you don't need anymore, that goes into fat tissue. That's adipose, right? And it keeps storing it, and it keeps storing it. Now, how about we put a little bit more energy out than going in and watch what happens? More going out than coming in, all of a sudden, that fat tissue, the stores go down. You don't need them. So anyway, I would keep going, but yeah, we have a messed up system, and we live in a system that is sick care based, emergency medicine based. It has nothing to do with health. And if people really want to know what health is, they must define it. And so I'm going to real quick just define what health is, because I could ask the question, but we don't have anybody here giving answers back. But true health by Dorland's Medical Dictionary is 100% function physically, mentally, socially, and spiritually, not just the absence of disease. I mean, I can feel great today and I could still have cancer. I can feel great today and I could die of a heart attack tomorrow. It's not just the absence of disease, it's function. So if you look at the word health and you just take the first 4 letters, it's the word heal. Your ability to heal is what determines whether or not you're actually healthy. So what are we doing on a daily basis to restore health and restore healing? More so than what that degeneration that's happening on a regular basis is. So, and most people are too comfortable in what they're doing to get out of a comfort zone, to decide to make a change. And I'm sorry, but you just have to. And don't wait for the New Year's. New Year's can start anytime. But anyway,
I agree, man. And do you mind if we just talk about foods really quickly here?
Yeah.
I love so my wife and I were talking about this. So our family, like, granted, like, we have 4 boys. The older 2 eat really clean, especially like my 18-year-old right now. He's done with football. So he's like, I'm done being fat. Cause he's like, he was on the offensive line, but he was only 200 pounds, like, and he's 5'9". So he's the littlest guy on the offensive line, but he's actually the strongest, which is wild to me.
Yeah.
But like, he just ate whatever was in front of him. He's like, I just got to keep my size. And like, so now he's eating crazy clean. He's dropped 20 pounds in the past 3 months. Like, he looks fantastic.
Yeah.
But like, he's like 0 processed foods, like all whole food, like, he's on it, right? And my wife and I were talking about this. I was like, look at Mason's transformation. Like, yes, he's working out, but he was always working out. He played football. I was like, but like, basically all he did is he removed processed foods from his diet. And look at how his body is responding. And so we got in this conversation. I was like, Jessica, I was looking through a bunch of old photos that I have downstairs of my grandmother and my grandpa, like literally like these black and white photos from like the 50s and the 60s. And I'm like looking at everybody, and there's photos of them at like at the beach and at public pools. Nobody is fat. Like, nobody.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh my God, look at all these grown people. No one is overweight.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, so I would love for you to talk to me about, I know the seed oils are kind of new and these inflammatory things, people are going back to beef tallow and there's so much information out there right now, Adam, of people like, oh my God, like people have been telling me for 30 years not to eat this stuff and to eat this stuff instead. Now they're telling me to go back to it. So it's like, what do people eat?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and they just changed the food pyramid, right?
Yes, they did. That's the other thing, which thank God, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
But I think we're living in a society where like literally people are like, I just don't know what to do anymore.
I don't know what to do. Yes, it's information overload. And quite honestly, I think that we live in a society too. I talk about our medical system, our healthcare system being jacked up. We also live in a world where most people are trying to get their information. It's oversensitization from, I don't even know if that's a word. I'm just saying it, but, from Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. And it's like, what's the next fad? And most of this is coming from influencers who have no background, no understanding of what health is. And if we talk about healthy food, right? We've already talked about what health is, but now when we talk about healthy food, we apply the same concept, man. It's like we've been in this such high technological advancement society of everyone's like, we got to find the next advancement. How can we make fake meat? How can we make fake food? Like everybody's going to starve. We've got to figure out how to grow this in a petri dish. I'm like, wait a second. Well, huh? Our bodies aren't made for that. Honestly, when it comes to nutrition, if you really want to get down to it, eat real food. Don't eat crap, which is synthetic, not real food. Wheaties, that's not real food, people. That is not. Anything
for the champions.
Yes, right, man. And then if you really want to talk about it, I mean, so I'm coaching one guy right now. We just recorded a podcast and I go, I want you to stop eating breakfast. He goes, what? He goes, it's the most important meal of the day. I go, who told you that? Who said that? Well, everybody. I'm like, everybody must be right. It's like, this must be true. I heard it on Instagram. No, it's like real food is real food. But you also have to be careful with this because now you get like these grapples. It's like, oh, this is a grape and apple combined and it tastes like, I'm like, whoa, wait a second. Let's just step back for a moment. What do you mean that's real food? You just told me that you genetically modified the DNA from an apple and a grape and you put it together and it's like, that's not real. I mean, think about this. Hey, you can buy seedless watermelon now. Oh, wait, how do they reproduce?
I mean,
well, they don't.
Admit, I do like those. Pretty convenient.
I get it, but you do realize that's genetically modified food.
I know. Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So no, nobody hate me here, please. But the truth is nutrition. Here's the concept that I would like for you to understand. And maybe you've already thought about this for your son. Dad, I just need to put on weight. So I'm going to eat everything in front of me. All right.
No.
Think about this. Where he's at now with clean eating, the nutrition that he's in. And I stay away from the word diet because if you look at just the first 4 words in there, it means die. We don't diet. We eat clean. We eat clean. It's about nutrition, So if do you have what's your nicest car? I don't know if you even have more than one car, but like, just say your nice car, a nice car.
It's so funny because like I was literally just did a podcast about how we don't spend money on cars like ever. Like the newest car besides mine, it's only because it's a lease, is my wife's 2018 Honda Odyssey. So the newest car is actually mine. Is a Jeep Wrangler. It's 2022.
I have a Jeep Wrangler. I love it. Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna put good gas in that car, right?
I'm gonna send you.
Oh, dude, yes, I love it. I've got 50 ducks in mine right now, all the way across. Okay, so you're gonna probably. I mean, there's different levels of gasoline, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you're not gonna put. It's not a diesel, is it?
No.
You're not going to put diesel in there. What's going to happen if you put diesel fuel in there?
It's going to completely crap out.
And it's not going to work. If you had a Ferrari, which, hey, that'd be cool if we had one, right? I'm not going to put the 87 fuel in that. I'm going to put the premium. If I have a jet, I'm going to put jet fuel in it, not gasoline over here. Again, like we talked about, it's input and output. It's the nutrients that we put in are ultimately reframe our thinking. it is the fuel for every single cell that we have. It's the fuel for our brain. It's the fuel for our muscle to contract. It's the nutrients to allow our heart to beat. Like, that is what food is. That's what's been designed for this whole time. For us to shift that food and start eating genetically modified, which, yes, when something says fortified, that means it didn't come with that nutrient. It had to be put into it. It was fortified with that thing, not enhanced. But the concept that I was thinking, like for your son even, it's like, man, I wonder how much clearer he thinks now. I wonder how much more energy he has, how many more gains he's had in the gym from eating cleaner than just saying, I need to just fill myself with calories to maintain a weight. I probably could have got him to 190 pounds, being even smaller than all the guys on the line, but his speed would be faster. His energy would be greater. He wouldn't be huffing and puffing through the next rep. And so there's this concept of, oh, we just have to fill it and fill it and fill it to be there. And I just tell people, like, number one, we need more protein. We need good protein. You look at the Framingham study that, as a nutritionist, you've heard of the Framingham study with cholesterol, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So we go through this. That is the study that determined for the world, for the US, that cholesterol is bad. Okay? Not just that cholesterol bad, but that meat is bad for us because it raises our cholesterol. Do people realize that the Framingham study was done on a bunch of rabbits that ate meat to show that the cholesterol went bad? I just want to know how many rabbits eat meat on a regular basis, unless there's some from crazy zombie movie and they're going around and doing that. But that was the determining factor that says cholesterol is bad and that eating red meat is actually bad for us. There's no validation. It's kind of like the big thing right now where they're like, oh, taking exogenous testosterone causes cancer. And now all of a sudden people are like, actually, no, that was bad research. It's not true. In fact, it actually decreases your risk for cancer. This is what I would say anybody that is listening, you have to do your own research. You have to have some understanding. But when it comes to nutrition, real food, stay on the outside of the grocery store where all the real food is, and don't go to the middle where all the fortified fake stuff is, and get good healthy meat. Just number one, if you're going to do anything, increase your fat. Avocados, healthy coconut oils, things like that. Yes, seed oils are bad. I mean, canola oil. Most people don't understand. It's Canadian oil, low acid. It actually comes from a rapeseed. Rapeseeds are actually, they go through a rancidification process to become pure enough so that you can actually ingest it. Yeah, you heard me say rancidification process. It goes rancid. They have to heat it to such a high temperature. Well, what happens when you heat certain things? It denatures them. It breaks them down. And then they've got to clean it and purify it and they send it out. Like even milk today, man. It's all fortified. You have to heat that milk so high because they're pumping these cows with so many antibiotics. It has to kill everything. And they bleach it. They clean it. They cleanse it. And then they send it out to us. And we wonder why everybody has a lactose allergy and a dairy allergy. It's because it's not real. We're eating fake food and it's killing us. That's why we're obese, because our body doesn't know what to do with the toxins that are constantly going into us, and it's storing it because it can't get rid of it. So we have liver issues, we have fat issues, and yeah, it's going to kill us. Well, it is killing us.
It's really fascinating that we're talking about just cleaning up the diet, because like me and Mason, like we were out, we went and actually grabbed some food, and he loves this one organic place here locally. They sell like free range chicken and grass fed steaks, and like it's like in these bowls that are super healthy with all that veggies and all that. So when we used to go there, he'd get like something nasty, and then now he's eating like all clean, and he has been for a while. We were talking about it. I was like, how do you feel since you've been eating like this?
Yeah.
I was like, I feel good. And we've noticed a huge difference in his energy. He doesn't want to sleep in as much. He goes to the gym 6 days a week. He's like uppity up. Like he's like, his skin looks better. His eyes look bright. He looks rested. He looks clear. He looks like his skin looks better. Like, and I even told him, I was like, how do you feel on this stuff? He's like, I feel good. I was like, I can tell. I was like, me and Mom, I was like, we're kind of worried about how quite frankly, how bad you're eating. And you're just like, whatever it was, you just want to get it in, right? And he's like, yeah. He's like, but everybody does that. I go, yeah, I understand all your football players. I was like, but does that make it right? Does that make it healthy? Like everybody else is doing it? He's like, no. And I was like, so, there's a lot of truth to how you're feeling and what you're doing and the nutrients that you're taking in.
Yeah.
And one of the thing that we sort of breezed on that you kind of made a joke of it, and I want to make sure we bring light to it, is whenever our kids come to us and be like, well, they say this and they say that, and well, they say that, basically when they're trying to like tell you like, hey, I'm doing this and I researched it. My first question is, who are they?
Yeah.
Who's the they?
Right.
Like, are we talking about like, was this like one of the greatest dudes that I follow is Thomas DeLauer, and I love him.
Oh yeah.
He backs up everything with white papers.
Yeah.
And, but I'm like, dude, you've got to be so careful about the they.
Yeah.
And who you're allowing to speak into your life as good ideas. Right. So like always challenge, who's the they that I'm listening to? When I say they say this and they say that, who are they and what are they?
Who are they? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, man. It's, I think that's vitally important, and not just, for our kids, but for us. Like, that's when I say, when people ask, I'm like, just find out for yourself. Like I tell people, you don't have to believe me. Like, just go look things up, go see what's that. I mean, you talk about nutrition too, man. I can't remember what I was reading. It was something, but the term myocardial infarction, which is a heart attack, was not even known about, was rare in the 1940s. Rare. But that goes back to your picture of the black and whites, right? I mean, people were lean. There, you didn't see somebody that was overweight. And the big one that I tell people about is I go, for those that I've worked with in the industry and just in the health and wellness space that are, say, in their 50s, 60s, I ask them, do you remember when you were like 15, 16, there being children's hospitals in every city across the U.S.? And they're like, no, there weren't. I'm like, there is something wrong with our system, and our system has nothing to do with our health. Why are we building everything more to just house the sick, which is really what it is? I mean, hospitals are now like hotels. We're just housing the sick. And their goal is never to get people out. Their goal is to get another person in.
Yep.
And that's all it is. So, and it's back. We can go into the whole other side of the bag of that. But yeah.
Do you want to hear a funny story though? I mean, I think this will kind of like hit home, like maybe it's crisis care and it's sick care, not health care. So like I'm 50, just turned 50. My, thank goodness my MD, I don't think he listens to this podcast. He's probably in his early 70s, I think at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe even a little bit, but he's very crotchety, like, and he's very crabby. And, I've been going to this guy for like 20 years. I'm like, why do I keep going to this guy? Like, he just yells at me every time. Like, he's so rude, but like, whatever. So like I got my blood work done and he's looking at my blood work and he's like looking at his glasses. He's like, because there's some red flags here. And I was like, okay. I'm sitting here like, oh God, what? He goes, well, your testosterone is way too high. And I'm like, what do you mean? I was like, what is it? He's like, it's 985. And I'm like, and I smile and I go, Dr. Bronk, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's normal. I was like, it's between 200 and 1100 is the norm. No, not for your age. This is way too high. This is a red flag. And I was like, look at my charts. I've always had high testosterone. I just have high testosterone. And he's like, are you taking steroids? And I was like, I'm 180 pounds, man, and 6'1". I'm skinny. Like, do I look like I'm on steroids? He's like, what about TRT? I was like, I don't take TRT. I was like, I take some recovery peptides. I was like, but that's about it. And he's like, well, I'm going to send you for an abdominal CT because I'm concerned that you have a tumor on your adrenal gland or on your testicles. And I'm like, okay. So I have shitty insurance because I'm self-employed.
Yeah.
I paid $2,000 out of pocket for this freaking CT scan. And then I get it back and he's like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, you're good. There's no issues. And I'm like, oh my, thank you. Can I have my $2,000 back now? But like, I was like, oh my God. But yeah, all that because the norm is no longer the norm.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that really the thing that we're up against now? The norm is no longer the norm?
Yeah, it's
crazy.
Yeah.
I understand if you're like, oh, it's 1800, man. There's something's really wrong.
Yeah.
But
No, actually. Yeah, no. And that honestly, and that is part of the broken system that we have. It's, the cortisone shot. Okay. So somebody comes with knee pain. It has not changed in 70 years. It hasn't. And when you try to even mention to most doctors, like, is there nothing else? And all the advancements and the things that we have and all, like, it's just the cortisone shot, which, I mean, I call it the merry-go-round of misery, man. It's aspirin and Advil. That doesn't work. Then we double that. That doesn't work. We go to the doctor. Then it's painkillers. The painkillers don't work. The underlying issue isn't addressed. And now we're going to do a cortisone shot, which deteriorates the tissue, kills the vascularity, kills the nerve tissue. Well, when you kill the nerve tissue and the vascularity joint space and make it accelerate faster, that joint space goes from this all the way down to this. And now we've got stage 2 degeneration in the knee. And you know what? Let's scope that now. So now we're going to scope something that needs the cushion to give it gliding longevity. And we're still doing the cortisone shot. So we're accelerating that. You know what? You got to get this replaced, man. Sorry. And now the next one. And now you're living in this constant circle. And knees are an easy one, but it's the same concept for our whole health. It's a medication after medication after medication. And, I am a chiropractor, and I actually train most MDs, DOs, and doctors who are looking to create those changes and shift because they're sick and tired of the system that they're in. And it's crazy to me that when you look at like toxicology, now I had to learn this even in chiropractic school. They had to go through and we had to understand medicines and how combinations and all these things. But when you get beyond like 3 different drugs and medications, the number of chemical reactions that happen in your body are infinite, and they don't even know what happens. You do. I am about to say you do realize, but you might not. But most people don't. Like, people talk about drug safety. And, they do these tests to make sure a drug is safe and the FDA approves it. And then it goes out on the market. And then that person goes on to another drug after that. And then that person goes on to another drug to counteract the side effects of that drug. Do you know how many studies have been done on even just 2 drugs put together? The drug that counteracts the effects of this drug? You want to know how many studies have been done on that? 0. None. But yet the average American over 40 years old is on 5, 6, 7 different medications. And we wonder why we're sick and dying and not getting well. The whole system is made to just help people live longer, not help them live longer, healthier lives.
That's the craziest thing. Like, you and I have been around long enough now. You're 44, I'm 50. I don't remember growing up and seeing drug commercials until way later on in life.
Yeah.
And food was, I wouldn't say it was necessarily healthier, because I still remember like absolute crap, like Little Debbie's and, like the, bagels, cream cheese, like all the nastiness and the potato chips and all that. But like, we're supposed to be getting people healthier.
Yeah.
And I just saw, and I might butcher this, but I'm pretty sure I saw the obesity rate is 43% now.
That might
sound right.
That might be low.
Really?
Honestly, it may be low. Yeah.
I mean, that's 1 in 2 people. That's like half the population almost.
Yeah, man. When I was doing presentations for my practice, and this was 10 years ago, the statistics were, so if you look at like the death ratings and stuff within the US, and you can go find all this stuff, but it was 1 out of 2 Americans was going to suffer from a heart attack, some heart related condition. Like 650,000 people a year die from cancer. But the number 1 cause of death was actually called iatrogenic death, was actually physician induced, where they mess up on a medication, they mess up on a surgery, and, the patient dies from that, which is crazy. But yeah, it's, and and heart attack, strokes, all those. But obesity, you can look at the underlying issues of all those. But yeah, it's terrifying. It's horrible.
Crazy, man.
Nothing's being done. Yeah.
Check this out. So it's not 43, it's 40.3% is actually, according to the CDC, between August of 2021 and 2023. But check this out. This is funny. Obesity rates have risen sharply over the past decades, from 13% of adults in the 1960s to 40% today. So like, it's crazy. Like, I literally just researched this really quickly.
Yeah.
But like, and we were just talking about the photos, but like 13 to 40%, that's a 3 times over increase.
Dude. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and then you got to go back and you're like, okay, so what, more stress, worse food, less exercise, less movement. I mean, it's just, it's all a combination of those, you know, so much of it. Whew.
One more thing, just to like, because I feel like people who, you know, because you hear this thing like fit shaming people, like,
dude, I get the hair shaming. Now we're doing a shaming, and now we're
but like, you know, like I've got great in-laws, I really, really do. But like, and I've got 2 great brother-in-laws, and both of them look at how I eat, right? And they're like, "What's wrong with you, man? Like, why don't you live a little? Like, why don't you why don't you enjoy?" And I look at them and I'm like, this is living, man. I was like, do you know how great, like, I actually feel really good when I eat this. When I eat that, I feel like death, man.
Yeah.
Like, so like how I feel is the reason I feel good is because I eat this, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I don't think, and I'll say this, and going back to like, just speaking to men, you know, that husbands, father, like when you begin to, and it doesn't just start with like eating something healthier. It has to start here. It's like, what is our end goal? Why am I doing this? And yes, there's this fit shaming. I tell people, you know what? Everybody wants to look like the guy on the cover of Men's Health magazine. But the problem with that is that has nothing to do with your health. Because you can look great. They're just, I mean, honestly, people are just dying younger, looking better. That's what's happening. Because that's not health. But it's understanding, like, when you eat well, for men, your sex life gets better, your energy gets better, your mental clarity, your performance at work. Like, there are so many things that come together when you move. Motion is life, nutrition, like these little things. And people, when they start to come, it's like, just live a little. Right. It's like, actually, you know what? I'm going to live a lot. I'm going to live a lot longer, because everybody's getting old. Doesn't mean we have to get older. It's not just about the number of years. It's the quality of those years. And because of what I'm doing today, I'm going to be living like this and feeling great when I'm 80. You know where you're probably going to be? Laying in a bed, having somebody wipe your butt, because you're choosing, and it's all a choice. And everybody wants a simple pleasure, and not saying that we can't have ice cream and an Oreo cookie here or there, you know, but if that's your everyday, you're heading down a path. I mean, there's a price and a cost to all things. Sure. You know, and they're like, well, it's too expensive to eat healthy. Actually, it's too expensive not to eat healthy. Think of those medical bills, everything else that's going to come with it. But, yeah. So, man, I'm with you. And we can't call it fat shaming. There's no fat shaming, fitness shaming. We can shame anything right now these days. It's crazy, but
we can. It's really okay.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
But you know what's really interesting about, oh, man, I had a point and I totally had a brain fart there, with what you were saying about, the cost.
I was going to say inositol Samax. That's going to be the peptide for your brain farts. It's going to subdue those and help you. So
what is it?
There's inositol Samax. It's a nootropic peptide. I wanted to get a few more of them in for the men here, but inositol Samax combined with inositol Salank. Salank is actually an anti-anxiety, stress relieving peptide that also helps with neurofunction. So for those execs and people that are just trying to home in, have less stress, Salank and Samax are great peptides for that. But yeah, And then don't forget, there is one more that I want to actually address before we get off of this.
Yeah, let's do it.
But I want to go to your cost thing first here. They'll have to stay on longer to listen to the next peptide here, but you want to address cost. What were you going to say on that one?
The only thing I was going to say about cost is, so you pay for it in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Right? People be like, well, it's way too costly to buy healthy food.
Right.
And I'm like, but you're paying for it and like how you feel like total dog shit most of the day.
Yeah.
Right? You're paying for it by having no confidence and being overweight and not wanting to be naked in front of your wife.
Yeah.
Right? You pay for it because you're the guy huffing and puffing trying to chase your kid, or you're the guy at the freaking park who won't get off the bench to play with your kid because you feel like shit.
And you can't say that you can't say that you enjoy that either. That's the thing.
You can't. You really can't. And that's what actually, like, even when guys come to my table and they're like, hey, like I need coaching for marriage or whatever else, and I'm like, okay, and I tell them how much it is, and they're in absolute hell, right?
Yeah.
And they'll be like, that costs too much. And I'm like, well, you're paying for it right now. Like, you're just paying for it differently. You're paying for it in misery, and you're paying for it in not knowing what to do and guessing. Like, there's a cost to it. You're just not seeing it. And there's a cost to eating unhealthy. You might be saving a few dollars now. You're going to be paying for it financially later down the road. It doesn't matter. You'll pay for it still financially at some point.
Yeah.
But like, man, like the cost of like feeling like total hell, like, is to me like not worth it. But anyway, let's get to the next peptide.
Yeah. Now, man, now I'm going to go down that whole rabbit hole with you on price and cost. The price is the monetary, cost is the life. So it's like, hit it. But, so the other peptide, and I really want to mention this one because as men, again, as we age, and this happens with women as well, but by the time you hit 30, most people don't realize, okay, you talked about testosterone, right? So you've always had high testosterone. Typically, as we age as men, our testosterone begins to drop. And I'm not talking about a testosterone peptide. What I'm going to talk about is a growth hormone releasing peptide, because that's the other side of it. So you have your testosterone, which is being released, which that goes into a whole other things. Always just get tested, guys. Like, just stay on top of that, and there's nothing wrong with being on TRT. So if you're doing like a testosterone replacement, if it's guided, that's okay. Just don't get it too high, because if your testosterone actually gets too high, it has the same effects as if it's too low. Most people don't realize that. So having too much of a good thing can actually, you can have that fatigue, you can have the low sex drive or low libido, like, and the less recovery. So that's the effect of having too much testosterone, just the same as low. But growth hormone, so natural growth hormone, which helps with sleep, it helps with recovery. It can help with sex drive. So there's a lot of benefits, longevity. By the time you hit 30, your natural growth hormone production drops by about 10 to 15% every decade. So the research shows 10 to 15% every decade. And your growth hormone, I mean, it's what helps us to get taller. Now, I'm not trying to talk about exogenous growth hormone, which can create like acromegaly, like the big jaw bones, the big square jaw bones, and all this, and it can create other issues. Exogenous growth hormone is like an injection, goes into the bloodstream, hits those receptors really hard, and then it kind of just goes away. And you've got to do a lot. With peptides, there's different categories. There's growth hormone releasing hormone peptides and then growth hormone releasing peptides. Now, for men, I think one of the biggest things, again, is like when you get into the gym, that recovery, but also just that gain, that strength, we don't get it the same as we did when we were younger. You don't need testosterone necessarily to do that. It's that natural growth hormone production. So peptides, what they do is they'll trigger the receptors on your pituitary or hypothalamus to increase the natural pulse of your pituitary to release your growth hormone in the evening. So it's a natural release. And so when you hit 30, as that begins to diminish, utilizing peptides can actually help to elevate your natural body's ability to get growth hormone to release again in the same pulsative effect as it does naturally. And I say that very clearly. It's not the same as an exogenous, like, the oil injection goes to the blood and just kind of pushes it forward, because you can then burn out receptors like that. With the peptides, it's not going to burn out the receptors. The example that I give is think of like the peptides like reading glasses. All right. So those reading glasses home in on those words. It says it clearly. It helps you to understand what you're reading, does its work, and it's done. I can take my glasses off. I can still do all the other things. It's not like a corrective lens that you're completely blind. You still have it. It's still able to work. We're just concentrating it in. So peptides like tesamorelin, which is my favorite. I love tesamorelin. People have heard of CJC, ipamorelin. These are all different types of growth hormone secreting peptides. And then you've got samorelin. There's MK677. There's hexarelin. Some of them are stronger than others. I love tesamorelin because it has a couple of effects, that natural pulsative effect, but also focuses on visceral adipose or visceral fat tissue. So like that beer belly fat, it helps to like shrink that down. There was studying and research with AIDS patients because there was sarcopenia or muscle wasting that was happening. So they were using tesamorelin to stop the muscle wasting. But what they noticed is the drug that these AIDS patients were on, they all had these pot bellies, crystallized adipose tissue. But they noticed that as they were given the tesamorelin, that the belly started to shrink and diminish. And so there was that correlation between tesamorelin, the shrinking of the adipose tissue, which that's literally what a beer belly is. It's adipose tissue pushing out that's been surrounding the liver and everything else. It's not that kind of the flabby fat tissue that we feel on the outside. It's that inner fat tissue. So that's why I love tesamorelin. And typically you'll do like 5 days on, 2 days off. So you cycle it on and off like that, typically for 4 to 6 months. Take a couple months off, you can cycle it again, or switch up that growth hormone peptide. So for men and even women, I think it's a good one to just kind of get, in a sense, kind of like the mojo back a little bit. That healing, that recovery, better rest. So it hits a bunch of different factors. And then, a safer option, if we're going to go on one other peptide real quick, and then I'll stop. I could keep going, is PT141. So PT141 increases libido, can help with erections, and it's safer than things like Viagra or Cialis, because those work off of blood supply. So if you have heart-related type issues, you have to be very cautious and careful. PT141, which is actually, it was FDA approved for women, not men, for women to increase libido and sex drive. And so it's saved a lot of marriages of people that I've worked with, for both men and women, both utilizing it, both having a better connection. And then you can add an oxytocin to that, which actually is that love peptide. It actually creates connectivity. I've had people that have been depressed, hate crowds, and they're just doing oxytocin. All of a sudden they're outgoing again. They just feel like they're getting better connection from the crowd, from people. But when you combine those PT141 oxytocin, even just with a spouse, it does create a connection that sometimes feels as if it's been lost for a while. But yeah, so it doesn't affect the heart. Where I was going with that is the blood supply with like Viagra, Cialis. This works on the neurological level. And so working on the pineal gland, releasing the receptors to increase libido, but then increase, again, that erection time for men without the side effect of the heart-related issues. So safe.
Well, not only that, but I've been seeing these Hims commercials be like, so wait a second, you're telling me that Viagra doesn't help with arousal?
Yeah.
Like, and if you've been in pharmaceuticals like you and I have or whatever, it's like, no, it actually helps with blood flow.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't really help with arousal.
It doesn't help with arousal. Whereas PT141 can help with the arousal side because it increases the libido and the overall effects. So it hits on multiple receptors.
I might stay away from that one. Just because like I've got 4 boys. I don't really want another one at this point. Neither does my wife. But dude, this was, first of all, I expected us to go for about 40 minutes or 30.
Yeah, I remember you were like 40. How long did we go? How long have we gone here?
An hour and 20.
Oh, wow. It doesn't feel like we went that long, but
no.
This has been fun.
Dude, this was great. I mean, I didn't even, a lot of those peptides that you're talking about, I haven't heard of quite a few of them, especially these last 2 that you're talking about. I was like, they actually make those? Like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure that, like, dude, the guys in the audience, I think we have a lot of guys who are very focused on their health. They really like this. And I know there's a lot of guys out there who listen to the show who are into peptides, but if they want to connect with you, if they have questions, or if they, want to inquire about your services or anything like that, like, what is the best way for them to find you?
Yeah. On Instagram, my handle there is Dr. Adam Boender. It's DRADAMBOENDER. So they can follow me there. You can reach out through that. And then honestly, I have people reach out from the Peptide Pulse. So my podcast, the Peptide Pulse, you can find it on YouTube. You can find it on Apple. It's kind of everywhere. But that's it's about real life stories like yours. In fact, if they start watching some of them, I mention you a few times, not necessarily by name, but I share your story a little bit because it's powerful, man. So yeah, those are the best ways to reach out, and it's or they can just contact you and you can connect me with them. But but those are the two best ways.
I want to say that just about in closing about just health in general. Yes, we all want to be healthier. Yes, we want to look good. All those things, right? We don't want to have visceral fat, but dude, when something is taken from you, like your mobility, your health, a knee, something, all of a sudden, all the things you could do, you can no longer do. And for me, like I remember, dude, I texted you a few times in tears. I remember the first time I talked to you over the phone and I started to finally like turn a corner and like, I was like, dude, I just got released from my crutches. And I'm like, I'm in tears talking to you. And like, I had a goal. I got hurt on May 4th and I had a goal to, we all know that you only have so many days, so many years to pick up your kids and then you just can't pick them up anymore.
Yeah.
And my 9-year-old, he's getting to that place, man, where he's getting bigger. And I was like, he always wants me to hold him. He's like, Dad, hold you me. Like, that's what he says. He used to say that to me as a kid, like a little baby. And now he still says, he's like, hold you me. And so like, I couldn't hold him for as long as I can remember. And I looked at him one day and I was like, by my birthday, which is July 6th, got hurt on May the 4th. I was like, by July 6th, I will be able to pick you up.
Yeah.
That is going to be my promise. And I was able to do it on June 14th. So like 3 weeks earlier than what I thought. And I had my wife even video it. I was like, I think I can pick him up. She's like, oh my God, are you sure? You're still in your brace? I was like, I think I can do it. So I just picked him up, held him right there. And I was like, this is it. Like, this is like the epitome of what does a man want?
Mm-hmm.
It's just to be able to do stuff like this, like, and to chase them around and play with them and hang out, like just be a dad that doesn't say no.
Yeah.
So dude, I owe you a ton for helping me, and you did that out of the kindness of your heart, and you did that from one dad to another, and I'm forever grateful. So like, guys in the audience who are listening, like, Adam's a real deal, man. I've known him for almost a year now. The guy like literally helped me out of the kindness of his heart because he knew I wanted to just be a dad again. So like, this guy is awesome. So thank you, Adam.
Well, thank you, man. And truly, I'm honored that you even asked me to come on here. And it's just been a beautiful thing, man, over the last year, just to connect with you and honestly have you there for me just as much as I was there for you. I know in different ways, but so thank you.
Hey, man, thank you. I appreciate you saying that, brother. Guys, go to thedadedge.com/1434 for this show. Thedadedge.com/1434. We'll have all of Dr. Adam's links in there, all the show notes, everything we talked about. Man, this thing was packed. So we'll have all the everything we talked about, what each of these peptides do. You're gonna have an arsenal at your fingertips. So yeah, you're welcome for the education.
Yeah, you know what I'll do, brother, for you and for your community. I'll even put I'll put a cheat sheet together for you on. Yeah, let me do that. I'll just put a quick cheat sheet together on not just the peptides that we talked about. I'll put a few more in there. Just kind of what they are, what their function is, how they work. I'd love to do that.
That would be great. Yeah, we'll put that as either a link or a downloadable, but it'll be in there as well. I don't know what it looks like yet, but it'll be in there for you if you go to the show. So Adam, thank you, man.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, brother. Talk to you soon.
All right.